Welcome back, boys and girls, to another lesson with Miss Brown. Today we will be having a virtual lesson because I'm not able to be with you in person this week. So the first book that we are going to be reading together is called Chester Greenwood's Big Idea. So on first glance, does this look like a nonfiction or a fiction text? So on first glance, it looks like a fiction text because it has kind of like cartoon illustrations, animated looking characters. And from all the books that we read so far, whenever you have illustrations like this, the book is normally fake. It's normally not real. But this book is actually nonfiction. Chester Greenwood was a real person who had a big idea. He wanted to invent something to help other people's lives be a bit easier. All right, so you're gonna be learning about Chester and what his invention was. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to turn to the back of the book. Because at the back of the book, we are going to find a, what's that G word? A glossary. And what does a glossary tell you? I hope that you said a glossary tells you what words mean, the meanings of words. So the first word in this glossary is famous. So if somebody is famous, what does that mean? It means that they are known by lots of people. This next word, this is a tricky word, glided. What does it mean to glide? Think about a surfboard or a boat, okay? If something is gliding, it's moving smoothly over something. And invention, what's an invention? It's something new that somebody made up. And sewing, okay? When you sew, you use a needle and thread to put fabric together. All right, so let's go look at the table of contents. Doesn't say it's a table of contents, but it's broken down for us into 4 parts, okay? 4 different chapters. Chapter 1 is called Cold Years. Chapter 2 is called Chester's Plan. Chapter 3 is called A New Idea. Chapter 4 is called Chester's Factory. All right, so this book is a bit longer than the normal books that we read. So we're gonna break it up, okay? We're gonna break up the book. I'm gonna read some with you today. As I'm reading, I want you to follow along. I want you to really think about what to do when you come across tricky words. All right, really work on that decoding, those decoding skills we've been practicing, looking at the beginning of the word, the middle of the word, the ending of the word. Does it have prefixes? Does it have suffixes? Think about the ing sounds, the ed, the ly sounds. Use the pictures to help you decode these words. Before we begin, I want to make sure that Sahvi has his glasses. Check. Brooklyn, you have your color overlay ruler. Check. DeAndre, we're not going to be sticking in words that don't belong. We're only going to be reading exactly what we see. Raya, you're going to take your time and use the pictures to help you as you're reading, making sure that everything makes sense. And Gabby and Elijah, if you all are able to find a device to read this book, I'm thrilled. Okay, I don't think I missed anybody. No, I didn't miss anybody. All right, so chapter 1 is called Cold Ears. Okay, so turn to pages 2 and 3. And I'm going to read, but as I'm reading, I want you to follow along. Okay, so starting at page 2. Chapter 1, Cold Ears. This is the story of Chester Greenwood and his big idea. Chester lived a long time ago in a small town in Maine. The winters were very cold there. So Maine is an actual state in America, in the USA. It's an actual place. Chester Greenwood had big ears. His ears got very, very cold in the winter. Chester tried many things. He just couldn't keep his ears warm. So in Bermuda, it gets a little bit chilly around Christmas time in December and January, but never chilly that we would really need earmuffs. So we can't really compare his life to ours in that sense. But if you've ever been to a cold country, you know that your hands can get really cold and also your ears. Page 4, Chester got a very special present the day he turned 15, ice skates. They were just what he wanted. It was very cold outside and the pond was frozen solid. It was a good day to try out these new skates. Soon Chester was skating with his friends. We're on page 6 now. Then it got colder and the wind began to blow. Chester's ears felt like ice cubes. He was just too cold to keep skating. He gave up and went home. All right, so chapter 2 is called Chester's Plan. Okay, so what I want you to do is at this point, I want you to read Chester's plan. Let's see, Chester's plan stops at page 11. Okay, so at this point, I want you to put me on pause. I want you to read Chester's plan, and then we'll come back for chapter 3. Okay, so you should have enough time to finish chapter 2, Chester's plan. So in chapter 2, Chester decided to go out to the pond to try out his new skates. But since he was so cold, what did he use to keep his ears warm? All right, so if you read carefully, you would have read that he wrapped a scarf around his head to try to keep the ears warm. His ears warm when he went out to the pond. And at first it seemed to work pretty well. You can see him there. He has the scarf wrapped around him, but then there was a problem with the scarf. What was the problem? All right, so the scarf became itchy. All right, started to itch his ears. It became worse and worse, and he couldn't take it anymore. So he had to take it off, and he went back home. Okay, so chapter 3, a new idea. So I'm going to read chapter 3 for you. Chester thought and thought. On page 12 now. He needed to put something warm over his ears. A scarf was too itchy. What could he use? Then he had an idea. Socks. He found 2 socks. Next, he got some wire and put it through the socks. Then he tried on his invention. His ears felt warm. So even kids can be inventors. You're never too young to have a creative idea. Okay, page 14. But when Chester tried to skate, the socks kept slipping off. Socks didn't work. Next, Chester made 2 wire circles. He got some fur and some soft cloth. Then he went to see his grandmother. Chester's grandmother was very good at sewing. He needed her for help. Okay, so remember, when you sew, you stitch fabric together. Page 16, Chester's grandmother sewed fur on one side of the circle and soft cloth on the other side. Chester put on his new ear warmers. He smiled. He was sure that this big idea was going to work. Page 17, the next day, Chester went to the pond again. He was wearing his new ear warmers. When Chester's friends saw him, they laughed. Chester didn't mind. So far, his ears were nice and warm. Okay, so during this time, nobody else had anything like this. So this was a new invention. Page 18, Chester skated and skated. The cold wind whistled, but Chester's ears stayed warm. Chester called his new invention ear protectors. Soon, Chester's friends wanted ear protectors. Other people in the town wanted ear protectors too. Everyone wanted warm ears. All right. Last page of that chapter, Chester began to sell ear protectors. He put a new springy band on them. The band helped to keep the ear protectors in place. Okay, so this piece of paper says United States Patent Office, and what that means is that if you have an invention, you can get something called a patent, which means that you own the idea. So nobody can take the idea from you. All right. Okay, so the last chapter is chapter 4, Chester's Factory. So at this point, I want you to put me on pause and read Chester's Factory. Okay, so what did you learn after reading chapter 4 about Chester? Well, I learned that he didn't just make earmuffs. He had quite a few inventions. What else did he invent? Okay, what page would that be on? So if you look at page 23, the book lists some more inventions. So he had a special rake, a tea kettle, a mousetrap, a bed that folded up. And the people in his town, they were so proud of him that they had a special day in his honor. Okay, all right, so this was quite a long book. There were 24 pages altogether, so we were able to get through most of it. So what I want you to do now is I want you to read sections of the book to somebody in your home that can correct you if you get stuck on any words, just to develop your fluency. So I'm going to give you some instructions when I send this lesson. I want you to break it up over 2 days because it's a bit much to maybe try to do all in one night. If you're able to handle it, that's fine. But you could try to split the book up in half over the course of 2 days. Okay. All right. So thank you for joining me for this virtual lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in the next book. Bye.